Howdy, folks, and welcome to TuneScores, your source for the freshest takes on, frankly, a lot of old songs. My name's Carrie Nightingale, and with me, as always, is my little brother, Kevin Nebrich. I just can't seem to shake this guy. Kev, how you doing?
Doing great, boss.
Fantastic. I hope you're excited, because we spun the proverbial wheel again. We're playing YouTube Roulette. We've got 3 songs that we need to review for the folks at home. Are you excited?
Not really, but let's do it anyway.
Really, what's the worst that could happen? So we decided to spin the wheel on YouTube by typing in pop playlist. And by the way, it's important to do this on an incognito tab so that YouTube's algorithm is not using your YouTube history and stuff like that to inform choices. If you want like a good chance of getting unfamiliar songs. So we typed in pop playlist. Kev picked the number 19 for some reason, probably because he wanted to make me do extra counting. What we got were 3 songs. Panini by Lil Nas X, Truth Hurts by Lizzo, and Chlorine by 21 Pilots. Let's go ahead and go in order. Let's tell the folks what we thought of some of these songs. Let's start with Panini by Lil Nas X. I'll go ahead and defend it because I have a feeling my score is going to be a lot higher on this one than yours is, Kev. I don't know. So why don't you go ahead and take down the composition?
Lil Nas received a 2.1 out of 4 for composition. The lyrics in particular are sparse. They hinge largely upon the bizarre insult Panini. Carrie, if I had a nickel for every time that someone called me a sandwich, well, I'd have a nickel. But I'm not really sure that was an insult. I just kind of look like a Reuben.
Kev, you've also been called a soup sandwich, a.k.a. a hot mess, quite a few times that I can recall.
Thanks for bringing that up. So as far as nicknames go, Panini seems like an odd choice. Its selection is obscure, if not completely random. The lyrics also use simple rhymes, near rhymes, self rhymes. And there aren't that many total rhymes in this piece, so the percentage of lazy rhymes is really high. I did have a favorite line in this piece that I thought was legitimately brilliant, and I love the cadence to which it was delivered. Lil Nas says, "I need a big Benz, not another fan." Gold star for that line, no jokes. I actually smiled when I heard it. Carrie, what do you think?
I think that's one of the most ridiculous things that anyone could think is brilliant that I've ever heard. I actually did rate the composition slightly higher at 2.2 compared to your 2.1. Here's the thing. Usually when I have to look up lyric meanings, it's because it's obscure slang for guns or luxury goods or drugs. In this case, it was about a cartoon. I guess that's a welcome change, but I don't like meanie or teeny or the whole shtick about breaking the fourth wall or being unappreciative of old fans. This one's got it all. Plus, a melody that was lifted probably wholesale, allegedly it was accidental, from In Bloom by Nirvana. The reason why I would personally doubt that it's accidental that melody came from In Bloom, if you look at the lyrics of In Bloom and the content behind it, the message behind it, and compare that to the message behind Panini, it's about the artist's distaste, or possibly hatred in Kurt Cobain's case, of some of their fans. I think that's a pretty strong similarity. Lyrics aside, there's a good beat, and I can hear just a little bit of harmonic movement. Performance, pretty lackluster. Rated at half credit, 0.6 out of 1.2. It's heavily reliant on auto-tune, and there are some words, thrive in particular, that are difficult to assess, to really hear clearly. I thought he was saying thive.
I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like an Old English pronunciation of thief, or plural for thieves. Thieves, thives? I don't know. Unclear. I've heard of mumble rap, but I'm not sure that's what this is. Besides, if you're proud of your lyrics, articulate them. The production was fine. I had really no notes, rated it at 2/3 credit. Kev, how did the performance and production feel to you?
The vocal delivery here feels restrained. Maybe tired or uncaring would be a better way to describe it, which is very fitting contextually. If Lil Nas was truly upset by his Goldilocks fans, I would expect to hear a more dynamic, emotionally charged performance. I wanted to say fair weather fans there, but typically that means when the weather's bad, they're nowhere to be found. In this case, he's calling out those of his fans that bailed as soon as he made it big. Hence, Goldilocks fans. Goldilocks. 3 bears. Bears love honey. Honey mustard is delicious. On a panini. I think I got it, Carrie. I also noticed some minor flubs, and I had trouble identifying more than a few words without the written lyrics, just like you did. Lil Nas earned a 0.7 for performance from me and a 1.0 for production. As far as appeal goes, this piece is effectively emotionless, so it gets a 0.8 out of 1.6 for emotion. I see little to no innovation, especially if the things you think are true about In Bloom and the similarities between this one and that. So no points there. But I don't hate it. I gave Lil Nas X a 0.8 out of 1.6 for repeat listenability and an overall tune score of 5.4 out of 10.
Okay. This is where things get a little bit iffy on who's defending and who's prosecuting the song.
Oh, I'm supposed to be defending him. Oh.
You know what? That's okay. For the appeal, I rated this at 1.4. There's nothing innovative about it. I can understand that there is some emotionality to Panini, and maybe I'll feel it too once my first wave of fans gives up on me because the second wave is so much bigger, and so am I at that time. But right now, I'm still looking for the first wave of fans. So it's pretty hard for me to empathize with someone who's frustrated with his success. There's a good beat and a whistling melody, so I could jam out to this, but lots of songs have those things. So I'm going to skip over the 5.0 overall tune score rated Panini by Lil Nas X, and I'm going to stick with The Enemy Guns by Devachka, because that's got a better beat and better whistling. But there you have it, folks. That's Panini by Lil Nas X. Sometimes you win when you gamble on YouTube Roulette, and other times you don't. It happens. But let's take a short break, because I feel like we're going to be winners when we come back with Truth Hurts by Lizzo. We'll be right back. Howdy, folks, and welcome back. For our next song in the YouTube Roulette Pop Edition, we've got Truth Hurts by Lizzo. I'm going to go ahead and prosecute, and Kevin, you can defend.
Oh, okay.
So Truth Hurts, I felt, warranted a 3.0 out of 4 for the composition. This has a solid beat, and I love the jaunty piano, even if it's pretty much only playing 2 chords throughout most of the tune. It's playing C. What's next? It's an A minor. What's next? It's C. Then there's A minor again, which coincidentally, they're basically the same chord. But that's a music theory lesson for another day. The lyrics and, to an extent, the melody are the star here. Well, Lizzo is the star, and she makes it abundantly clear. But she does that with the lyrics and melody is what I'm getting at. This sounds like a really positive message. On my first listen, a little over a month ago, I questioned a few lyrical decisions like the Minnesota Vikings and When I'm Crying Crazy, but I learned that the first one is allegedly biographical, and I've softened on the second one, although I still don't like the similar sentiment, if you can't handle me at my worst. But still, I think it's a solid composition rated at 3.0. Kevo, tell us what you think.
Lizzo received a 3.4 out of 4 from me for composition. The lyrics here are particularly very well written. That's what I think anyway. And I say that despite a litany of simple rhymes, near rhymes, and self-rhymes, all things that I typically consider to be indicative of lazy songcraft. But the vocal delivery of this song is less reliant on its rhyme scheme than it is on the cadence with which those words are delivered. So unless you're reading the lyrics while you're listening, like us, you might not even notice. My favorite line is, "Hey, I'm glad you're back with your bitch. I mean, who would want to hide this? I will never, ever, 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 ever be your side chick." Brilliant.
Words to live by.
I love it. The cadence is beautiful. For performance and production, Lizzo earned a 1.2 out of 1.2 for performance and a 1.0 for production. Her vocal delivery is both melodically and rhythmically impressive, and she injects an emotional affect at times to really emphasize the emotion she's trying to portray to the audience. It sounds human. It sounds real. It makes it really fun to listen to and really fun to sing, I bet. Carrie, tell me what you think about her performance and production here.
I had really no notes for her on the performance. I thought it was really strong without being necessarily complex. You know, we just did the jazz episode, and something like Goodbye Pork Pie Hat warranted a 1.2. This, a 1 out of 1.2. Production, strong also. This was the disappointing part for me on the production. There was nothing that stood out to me as being anything. It was just a very professional mix. Now, in baseball, they say if you don't notice the umpires, if you forget the umpires are there, it means they're doing a good job. I forgot the producer was there for Truth Hurts, so he was probably doing a fine job. 2/3 credit. The only note that I made here is the bridge lyrics are repeated, but I would have loved to hear them only once, and then a flute solo or something like that over the same progression for that second half of the bridge. That was my only note for production. As far as appeal goes, Truth Hurts is just a fun tune. I've put it into regular rotation. I think it deserves at least a listen or two from most folks. Rated at 3.0 for appeal and an overall 7.8 tune score. Kev, how does it appeal to you?
So this song hits me harder than most for emotion. I gave Lizzo 1.4 out of 1.6 for that. It's very unique in both its composition and its performance. So I gave her 0.3 out of 0.4 for innovation. And it's very entertaining. Full marks for repeat listenability. Lizzo earned an overall tune score of 8.9 out of 10. And if you like this song, check out her NPR Tiny Desk concert. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Check out the NPR Tiny Desk concert of Truth Hurts by Lizzo. With that being said, looks like we spun the roulette wheel on YouTube and we won this time. I am dying to know whether we win or lose on the third song, Chlorine by 21 Pilots. We're going to have to wait and find out in just a minute because it's time for a short break. This one's brought to you by Once Upon a Time in Video Conference, the new film by Quentin Quarantino. We'll be right back. Howdy, folks, and welcome back. For our final song, we've got Chlorine by 21 Pilots. Let's see how they did. Kev, why don't you kick us off with the composition?
Oh, sure. 21 Pilots received a 3.3 out of 4 for composition. They seem to write more enigmatic lyrics. The songs they perform that I've heard previously are heavy-handed with metaphors, and the lyrics need to be combed once or twice to determine their literal meaning. And who has the time for all that? Don McLean gets it. But from what I can gather, this song is about songwriting and its significance to the author. I get the sense that it's maybe a love-hate relationship, but he also has an inescapable desire or need to create. The lyrics also break the fourth wall momentarily at 2:24, but I didn't hate it. In fact, that was one of my favorite lines in the song. Now different lives I lead, my body lives on lead. The last two lines may read incorrect until said. I like that. I dislike the emphasis being stressed on the wrong syllable in that line, but it's fun wordplay like that. I will make unreasonable compromises to keep just because it's clever. Terry, what did you think?
So for their composition, I rated Chlorine at 2.8 out of an available 4. There's not a whole lot of singing on this one. except for the chorus and then sort of the coda. But what is sung features compelling melodies, particularly the sipping on straight chlorine hook. I don't hear a lot of harmonic movement from the bass, or really any movement from the bass, but the rhythm is strong in each section. The lyrics shine as being clever, and I made note of that verse 2 lead led, read said couplet. I really liked it, and I thought the lyrics overall were effective. So 2.8 for the composition. Performance, I thought it was strong. Most of this is probably programmed, as most of everything is these days. So rated at 2/3 credit there, and just slightly better at 0.9 out of 1.2 for the production. I really liked the sweep panning that happened in the very beginning of the song. I think that's a great way to get headphone users at least hooked in early. Or I suppose if you're listening on decent car speakers. And funny enough, I never listened to the radio. I had a car a couple of years ago. It was a project car, terrible investment, but it only had a radio. And this was 2015, it was the first time that I ever heard 21 Pilots. And this is maybe the shame of it. I heard Stressed Out playing on the radio in my Volkswagen Phaeton, which was both the best and worst car that I ever owned. And it was instantly memorable. This song, however, less so. I'll discuss that when it's my turn for appeal, since I'm technically defending. But Kev, why don't you go ahead and take us through your take on the performance and production?
No notes, really. 21 Pilots earned a 1.1 out of 1.2 for performance and a 1.0 for production. As far as appeal goes, this song should hit me where I live, but I'll say for now that it's just missed me. So they ended up with a 1.2 out of 1.6 for emotion. I think I get the message, but the lyrics are tough for me to untangle. This song is interesting and unique. I gave 21 Pilots 0.3 out of 0.4 for innovation, and it's entertaining, but it's not my particular cup of tea. Repeat listenability as of this moment is 1.3 out of 1.6. That might improve with a deeper dive at the lyrics maybe, or repeat listening. My overall tune score for Chlorine by 21 Pilots is 8.2 out of 10. All right, Carrie, how did it hit you?
Okay, so again, I'm not really defending much here. I think my appeal score, at least in emotion and repeat listenability, was the same. Overall, 2.6 for me. Now, this was when I sat down and listened to this song 3 times, about 2 hours prior to me speaking these words. Now it's a couple hours later. I cannot remember any of what I heard in Chlorine. So it seems to be about either songwriting as a cleansing or cathartic activity, or maybe it's just about chemical dependence. Regardless of the reading of the lyrical content, I did think when I listened to it that this is a well-written and produced track that I'll probably look to hear again. I rated it an overall 7.1 tune score, but now that it's been a full 2 hours and I can't remember any of it, and I'm thinking about it, I maybe won't seek it out again. But knowing YouTube, not just for Roulette, but for its algorithm, this song will probably be put in front of my face sooner rather than later, and I'll give it another shot, and we'll see how it goes. So that's been 3 songs. I was going to say 3 great songs, but Panini was in there too. So that's been 3 songs on our little YouTube Roulette journey. I kind of feel like we came out winners overall in this one.
I had fun.
Fun things. I didn't really feel like it was work or like a real slog to get through any of them, except kind of Panini, but it was under 3 minutes long, so it wasn't even that bad. But Kev, did we learn anything today?
Absolutely not.
That's what I like to hear. Hopefully you, dear audience, like to hear that too. If so, just wait until our next episode. In the meanwhile, make sure you subscribe, click that notification icon, and we'll see you in the next one. That's been Kevin Nebrich. I've been Carrie Nightingale, wishing you a wonderful day.